It's Professor Sky. I'm not going to be doing a music review today. I'm going to be starting a new series. You see, at the school where I teach, and I need it to be clear, I do not represent my school in any official capacity. I do this channel as an individual. But at the school where I teach, I am creating a minor in hip hop studies. So that's exciting and that's fun. And I have some classes, like I have a class on French hip hop that I have in there. And I work very closely with the African American Studies Department to make sure a lot of their classes end up as the core of the hip hop minor. But I have not had like a straight up hip hop class, rap music and hip hop culture. So I'm creating one, and I'm creating it and I'm going to be teaching it in the spring. So that means in January, actually, sort of like latest January 2023, I'm going to be teaching it. Right now, it's October 2022. So I want to take you through the process. I'm going to show you how I created the syllabus. I'm going to be showing you some of the assessments. By that, I mean the exams and the assignments. I'm going to be taking you through my process of creating a reader, which is like selections from books that I'm going to be making the students read. I'm going to be doing book reviews. I'm going to be doing film reviews, all with the idea of how does one create a class on rap music? There's not that many classes on rap music right now. I mean, I'm sure there's 50, I don't know, but I want mine to be the best. And I want mine to come from the perspective of someone who is a very serious academic in another area, 17th century French literature, who brings the academic rigor to hip hop, while at the same time being a real rap fan who grew up as a rap fan and who is actively loving modern hip hop in all of its forms. So I think I can bring something to it that other hip hop teachers might not be able to do or might not want to do. Whatever, who cares if it's better or worse? I'm getting off track. So what I want to do now is take you to the first step. Now, this is the step I have not included you on. The first step is creating a syllabus. So I had to create this class and I had to submit it to the school where I teach. I had to get it approved. I had to apply for different general education codes, which I'm not going to be talking with you about. That's a little bit too in the weeds. But I want to show you my temporary syllabus, the syllabus that I submitted, and it's going to be fun because as this course develops, I'm going to be taking you and showing you how my syllabus is going to change. Because realistically, the class that is going to be taught in January is not the same class that is here now. So here is my syllabus, okay? Hip hop music and culture. It's also kind of a fun thing that Lupe Fiasco is teaching a rap class at MIT. I grew up in Massachusetts, and my student population is going to be very different than his. I really hope he talks a lot about what he does. I'd be curious to find out sort of like what his students get versus mine. I mean, I'd rather be his students than my students, but it can't all be Lupe Fiasco. So already right off the bat, we see the name, hip hop music and culture, time, date, location, and then we get to the course materials. Now, this is the hardest thing for me to put together. So before I started this class, I had to just sort of imagine what books I was going to cover. And you see there's a lot of books there, and these are books in theory that I would have assigned for students to read. Realistically, many of my students are first-generation college students. Many of my students have part-time and full-time jobs. Many of my students have been displaced from like the Bronx to the countryside of Western New York. So I don't want to dump a bunch of books for them to buy. So I'm really going to be creating this reader again, which what that means is just taking books and scanning them and putting them up on our course page in our content management system. But this is going to be the most fun part for this channel because I have some books, you see. Well, this is a burp cloth for my baby. I have some books, and I'm going to go over every single one of these books for you. I'm going to read and dissect and sort of process them all. I'm going to start that process with what I think are the two most important and sort of longest lasting books, Hip Hop America by Nelson George, which was a book that I read when I was like 20. and that completely changed the way I thought about scholarship, about rap music, about everything. Like this was the book that gave me the idea that I could potentially teach what I wanted to teach. Like, oh my God, I love this book. Nelson George is a personal hero of mine. Although it does not come out looking as good as I would like. In this other book, Black Noise by Trisha Rose, I'm going to be doing within the next week, I'm going to be doing a full book report on this. If you are a scholar of rap music, if you love rap music, this is essential. These two books are essential. These two books are absolutely essential. And who knows, maybe the rest of these books will be too. I've got a couple books on gangster rap in the West. And I got a book on the essential history of women in hip hop. I got a whole book on Houston. I got a couple things on Kendrick because I know I'm going to have to do a lot of Kendrick stuff. Sort of more general books like the Anthology of Rap, Breakbeats in the Bronx, a little bit of a cuter book right here, the Rap Yearbook. So we're going to see. So some of these books I don't have on hand. Some of these books are in my office. Some of these books I've ordered off Amazon. Some of these books are out of print. I don't know how I'm going to get them. I don't know how I'm going to get the Rap Attack African Jive from New York, from African Jive to New York hip hop. I don't know how I'm going to find that. So also there's going to be a lot of movies. Now, I don't know if these are all the movies that I'm going to end up showing my students. I just sort of picked a bunch of movies that I associate with hip hop. Already, and just in my head, like I'm going to be going in a different direction, but we'll be talking about that as we keep studying this. I mean, definitely Wild Style. I don't think I'll be showing Shaft, even though Shaft is great. I'm sure I'll be doing excerpts from Scarface, but I don't think I'll actually be showing Scarface. Again, excerpts from Do the Right Thing. I'm going to have my students watch either Boys in the Hood or Menace to Society. So we'll see. CB4, co-written by Nelson George, one of my very underrated movies. Whole bunch of nonfiction as well. Now, this is the other fun thing about this, and I didn't put this on my syllabus because I didn't think my institution would take me seriously. I'm going full YouTube. They are going to watch so many YouTube videos, and if you are watching this channel, if you're watching this series, creating a hip hop class, creating a college, creating a I don't know what I'm going to call this section, creating a hip hop class for college, creating a hip hop course for colleges, whatever it is. I'm going all YouTube because there's a ton of great research on YouTube. This is going to sound arrogant. I'm a good enough academic to be able to separate the wheat from the chaff, to know what is like really well researched and thought out, what is not. So there's that. So then we have to come up with student learning outcomes and course goals. So this was part of what I had to evidence, and no matter what changes, these are definitely things I am going to be focusing on. The four components of hip hop: the origin, the context of New York, the growth in the 80s, hip hop as a reaction to Reagan and Clinton, tool of hypercapitalism, regional. That is when we look at my actual day, like the dates that I'm imagining week by week, I'm going to reshift it. This whole thing is way too east-west. I need to have more Southern stuff in here. The nature of conscious rap, nature of dance. Fortunately, the institution where I work has a very vibrant dance program, and hopefully going to have some dance performances. We also happen to be an institution that had one of the most important graffiti artists of all time. So I'm hopefully going to get him to come speak with us as well. Wealth and class, gangster rap, crack as an urban epidemic, women as creators, representations of women in hip hop. Those are kind of different things there. Extreme heteronormativity in rap music. The more that I keep studying the scholarship, the more I realize I do need to address these issues. There's an interesting dialogue. Hip hop is dialogic, as Trisha Rose will tell you. There's an interesting dialogue between these two books because in general, not only does hip hop marginalize women's voices, but hip hop scholarship marginalizes women's voices, even people who I look up to like Nelson George. So I need to be careful that I don't do the same thing. African-American resistance to rap music, that'll be interesting. White Americans as consumers of hip hop culture, creators, commercial exploitation, cinema, television. And then there's going to be a whole element that's going to be based on international hip hop. Because this class is being taught from the modern languages department of my school, that's just because I'm doing it. The chair of African American studies is like, I'm not actually super into hip hop. I think we should have this, but I don't want to deal with it. I don't want to deal with the paperwork. I was like, ooh, me. I'll do all the paperwork. I'll deal with all of it. But also, I want to really try to expand what people think about rap as not just an American phenomenon, but a voice of the voiceless throughout. Really the voice of marginalization, and sort of show my students that this thing that was created in the Bronx in the 70s, 50 years ago, as of the beginning, as of this class, it really has changed the entire world. So these are the student learning outcomes. Those are different things, course goals and student learning outcomes. You just have to come up with these when you're teaching a class. Like, you have to choose specific action words like explain, demonstrate, identify, compare. So we are going to be doing vocabulary literary analysis. I have some great books in my office about rap as poetics, different phases of rap music. That's going to be really important. I don't know where my students are. I don't know if my students are going to be taking the class because it sounds fun and they don't care about rap music. I've had students who make drill music in their dorm rooms. You know what I mean? And I've had students who are like, rap is crap. You know what I mean? So like, I don't know what kind of students I'm going to get, but it's going to be interesting and exciting. For the assessments, I'm just super into to being present. Taking notes. By the way, if you're a college student and you want to know how to make your professor happy, take notes. Students are just way too passive, and it's because of YouTube. It's because of just general internet making people passive, just watching. And it sucks because I'm entertaining. I know I'm entertaining. That's why I do this channel. But like, I don't want you to be entertained. I want you to be learning. I want you to learn to be. Homework questions. You're going to watch me as I form some of these questions, with these readings. That's what I do. I give them readings, and I give them questions. I give homework every class, no matter what. Homework every class. And I don't do it because I want busy work. I want it because I want my students always thinking about what I'm trying to teach them. And the secret is I'm going to be only teaching them like 4 or 5 things. There's going to be sort of like big themes that I'm just going to be hammering over and over again. Now, this is interesting, this idea of a mini composition. On a biweekly basis, you'd be expected to submit a 2 or 3 page rap battle mini composition. You will take one of the songs we are studying, explain it in the context of the class in comparison with another song we are studying. You may also choose a different song by either of the artists, as long as it is within 5 years with the songs we studied in class. What are the messages? Are they political, apolitical? What style songs they represent? Compare and contrast the rhyme style. If there's a music video, do they contrast? And then I'm going to have them choose. And this is going to be something I'm going to be emphasizing, which I talk about a lot in my videos here on my YouTube channel, that rap is competitive. It is an art that is intentionally competitive. To deny the competitiveness of rap music is to deny the specificity of the art form itself. Therefore, I'm going to allow my students to find that. There's going to be a midterm and a final. Now, this is the part that's going to change totally. Okay, look at this. Okay, introduction, Bronx in the 70s. That's going to be more than a week. That's going to be more than 3 classes. Hip hop takes over New York, graffiti breakdancing. That might be less. Run DMC, Rise of Def Jam, Hard to Tell, Gangster Rap, NWA versus Public Enemy. That'll probably be less than a week, but I'm fascinated by this inflection point, in '88, where people could have followed Public Enemy and could have followed NWA, and how eventually all the mainstream followed NWA. I don't think I'm gonna have to do an entire week on Vanilla Ice and MC Hammer, but maybe just a class. I just put this together just to show them that I have thoughts, but I'm gonna have about 42 to 45 classes to fill. And that's the excitement about being a college professor, is when you're creating a new class, there's no way I'm going to look at someone else's template. My nephew took a hip hop class in Cornell, not with Cornell West, but at Cornell, and there's I'm sure they did a great job. I'm not going to follow that. I'm going to do my own thing. But East Coast versus West Coast in the 90s, that's not going to be 2 whole weeks, guy. Come on. Biggie and Tupac might be a week, but yeah, it's too much. Which is great, because that's going to give me more time to think about stuff like Houston and Atlanta. Who's like nowhere on here. Wu-Tang Clan, alternative rap movements. That might be interesting. I might sort of draw that into more modern times. Jay-Z, Kanye in the 20th century. So I'm just going to talk about the last 20 years, basically half of hip hop's existence in 1 week. Come on. When I made this? I made this way before this channel really took off. I made it before I really had a better understanding of the modern state of hip hop. So that's going to be at least 2 weeks. White consumers and rappers from Beastie Boys to Post Malone. That sounds cute. Misogyny and heteronormativity in rap. Okay. I'm really going to do a whole week of just like sexist rap lyrics. Just talking about Dr. Dre beating D Barnes for a week. I don't think so, Sky. You got a lot of work to do, boy. You got a lot of work to do. Oh my God. I've got a lot of work to do. The syllabus sucks. Women as creators in hip hop. Am I really just going to do only a week for that? Rap in France and England. That's an interesting idea, but I don't want to talk about it. Yeah, well, I can do France for a whole semester, obviously. That could be interesting. Maybe I'll just do rap in Europe, rap in Canada and South America. I don't know. And then 1 week talking about the current state of hip hop. That's the basic idea. I don't know. We're going to see. Come along with me, would you? And if you have ideas, put them in the comments, okay? Just because I'm the teacher and you're the auditor doesn't mean you don't have good ideas. All right. So stay tuned. Where on the next installment will be my book report on Black Noise by Trisha Rose. You can see I write all over my books. If you buy books, get a pencil and write all over them. Okay, make them yours. Figure out so when you go back and look at them, you can like look here and just kind of look around and say, oh, great, yeah, this is that whole part where they explain the importance of 808s. You know, because I wrote in the margins 808. It doesn't matter if it's backwards, you can see that says 808. So anyways, that's the next stage here. And is this idea interesting at all? I don't know. I'm a little bit spooked. My wife thinks I should keep this on the main channel. I think I should put this on like a secondary channel and hide it, but we'll see. All right. Until next time, the camera's still up there.